Hello everyone, this is a quick YouTube video response to Mr. Abolitionist's video, Are You Happy You Weren't Aborted? I was born in 1986 in California, which was a state where abortion on demand was legal even before Roe v. Wade, and today has some of the most permissive laws on abortion in America. Minors can get abortions without notifying their parents, and it's even one of the states whose Supreme Court struck down all or most restrictions on state funding, on the grounds that it supposedly violated their state equal rights amendment. Getting an abortion here, it's as easy as ordering a pizza. So yes, I'm glad I wasn't aborted, but I mourn for my fallen brothers and sisters who weren't as fortunate. Over 42 million unborn babies are aborted worldwide each year. That's right, 42 million. That is 115,000 abortions per day. To put this in perspective, there were over 12 million people killed in Nazi death camps during the Holocaust. Half of those people were Jews, while the other half were gypsies, Slavics, homosexuals, religious minorities such as Jehovah's Witnesses, and the disabled. Almost 4 times as many people are murdered in abortion clinics every year than were murdered during the entire scope of Hitler's final solution. Now, even if we were to also include in those numbers the full estimated count of people killed during World War II, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 million people, the amount of babies aborted per year still far outmatches the number of people killed per year during the bloodiest war mankind has ever fought. Now, I know that what I've said has no doubt angered many of you watching this, but I assure you that I'm not saying this to downplay these tragic deaths, to judge women who've had abortions or are considering abortion, or simply for the shock value, but to tell you all a sad truth that far too often is either downplayed, ignored, or even rationalized. The truth that abortion is the Holocaust of my generation. If you want proof, look no further than the numbers. In the year 2008, in America, more black babies were aborted than were actually born. Over 90% of unborn babies diagnosed with Down syndrome are aborted based on the falsehood that their life will be worse than death, when many people with Down syndrome and other disabilities have lived productive and fulfilling lives. Practically the entire continent of Europe's birth rates are, in comparison to its death rates, the lowest they've been since the Black Plague, with the only major growth in its population being due to mass immigration from Asia, the Middle East, and Northern Africa. The population problem in Europe has become so dire that some countries, such as Russia, are actually paying their citizens to have children. Every year, the world's largest abortion provider, Planned Parenthood, is given billions of dollars in federal, state, and local funding to promote family planning. The same organization whose founder, Margaret Sanger, called black people, quote, subhuman weeds, who, quote, need to be exterminated, and who was caught accepting a donation, the same organization who was caught accepting a donation from a man who said that he wanted the donation specifically go to abort a black baby, so there'll be fewer black children in the world so his son can go to college. Now, that man was going undercover from a pro-life group, but Planned Parenthood obviously didn't know that at the time. The same organization that was caught multiple times covering up statutory rape by deliberately neglecting to tell the authorities in cases where they know the mother's a minor, but the father is not. And now with the passage of the so-called healthcare reform bill, Planned Parenthood and its allies will receive even more money from us, the taxpayers, to fund their death mills. Sure, politicians, especially Republicans, will talk a good game on abortion, but that's all most of them do is talk. I mean, they just bring it up around election time to fire up their base and then drop the subject until the next election. And to add insult to injury, they'll also advance policies which threaten the dignity of human life in other ways, like vote to send more troops to the illegal unwinnable wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, support the torture of prisoners or have another bailout for the bankers so they can live to defraud the people another day. And the Democrats are just as bad as the Republicans. They're guilty of all these things, just like the Republicans are, even on the issues they're supposedly better than them, because they're bought and paid for by the same criminals. Fortunately, most pro-lifers and Americans in general now realize this. Public dissatisfaction with both major parties is the highest it has been in quite some time. And more people are coming to our side. So I hope that we in the pro-life community are finally able to use this opportunity to depoliticize our movement so that it will cease to be the political football of unscrupulous politicians and their interest groups pulling the strings and become the serious moral debate it should have been from the beginning.